Well, that was a classic good week, rough ending kind of market day. Hey everyone, it's Saturday morning, May 16th, and welcome back to Capital Markets Quickie. I'm your host, Endrit Sella, here to break down yesterday's market action in just 2 minutes. Quick note before we dive in. Today's episode is brought to you by AMF Capital, Asset Management Frankfurt. Learn more about our funds and strategies at amf-capital.de. Alright, let's get started. So yesterday, US stocks moved lower and pulled back from record highs. The mood changed quite a bit, mainly because bond yields moved higher again and investors started worrying more about inflation. The Nasdaq Composite, which is heavily driven by tech stocks, fell by 1.5%. Nvidia was one of the big reasons for that move, with the stock dropping around 4% ahead of its earnings next week. And well, when Nvidia comes under pressure, the whole chip space usually feels it too. The Standard & Poor's 500 also gave back some ground, falling by 1.2% after reaching a fresh all-time closing high on Thursday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 1%, or about 530 points, and dropped back below the 50,000 mark. Now the bigger issue behind yesterday's sell-off was really the bond market. The 10-year U.S. Treasury yield climbed to 4.59%, while the 30-year yield moved up to 5.13%. And higher yields, as we know, can quickly make investors a little more nervous, especially when stocks are already trading near record levels. At the same time, markets were still trying to understand what to make of the Trump-Xi summit in Beijing. On the business side, the tone seemed pretty positive. The meeting included 16 top U.S. executives and brought new deals for companies like Boeing and Nvidia. But of course, the bigger geopolitical questions did not disappear. Taiwan remained a sensitive issue, and Iran was also in the background. U.S. officials had hoped China could use its influence to help reduce tensions around Iran, especially because of China's role as a major buyer of Iranian oil. President Trump said that China and the U.S. feel very similar about Iran, but Xi Jinping sounded more cautious. And that lack of real progress toward peace kept investors worried about oil prices and inflation. Oil prices moved higher again, with Brent crude rising more than 2% and trading around $109 per barrel. So, the takeaway is pretty simple. Markets had a strong run, but higher yields, inflation worries, expensive oil, and unresolved geopolitical risks gave investors a reason to take some profits. Alright, that's it for today's Capital Markets Quickie. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe and stay in the loop. See you Monday morning.